So I want to work today a bit on back bends, and back bends are my nemesis pose. I'm not a naturally bendy person. So I've had the pleasure of having some really amazing teachers help me find really ease and joy in back bends. And we're not doing like, if you want to do a wheel, I'll save time for you to do it. We'll all watch. Jill could probably rip it up there, and probably Patricia, but I kind of stopped doing wheels, but we'll do lots of versions of gentle but loving and rich back openings. And it's really particularly good to occasionally pay a lot of attention to opening. So first thing we'll do is take a little centering. And if you haven't already adjusted your bums, inner rotate the thighs, more technical term, and settle on this hot August day. I'm so grateful we're all in some comfort here. And just check in with what happens when you hear that the class is going to be back bend focused. It's like, oh, maybe I'll just shut down my camera and move on out of the room for the at-home folks. I always used to do that. And then when I found these little techniques that make back bends really beautiful, I started looking forward to them. So it's that sense of when we think something's going to be unpleasant. It might be, but we need to give it some time, some space. And draw your palms together in front of the heart center. One soft om, inhale. Om. Release the hands, flutter the eyes open. So one of the first things we want to work with is, so the head, I work a lot with taking the top and bottom of the ears back, not taking the head back this way or that way, it changes the voice, but you're taking the top and the bottom of ears back. It's like if you just pressed on your head, the back of your head, and you take it back so it's in line. Because we're so inundated with tech head and the head's forward and we're doing this and we're driving, and if your body, if you don't really counteract that, you will start to push it forward. So one of the things when I was working with this with Jerry on our vacation, he has pretty good rounded upper back that when he lies on the floor, he needs a bit of a blanket. Many people do, and that's fine. But you'll find that once you do this a little bit, his head just released. So that's part of the back bend. Back bend's not this. You're not breaking the back of the neck, pinching it. It's like the back of the neck is long and you're lying over it. So lie down and take this. And so if at home you don't have a nice spongy ball like this, that's the right size, then there's a way you can do it with blankets where you take it, I've got it in the long place here, and I make like a little, I would say a 4-part Z, like that. And then kind of roll this up and put this part right in the back of the head so you can flip it around so the head is right there, and that creates a kind of nice ball there for you effect. But legs can be bent and feet on the floor, or legs long, whatever floats your boat. But before you put the ball, take the ball out and just lie flat on the floor and see how comfortable or uncomfortable that is. And notice, is your chin, what is the is or are? See if the chin and forehead are even. And then just tilt the chin up so you're arching the back of the neck a little bit. And then tilt the chin down so you're flattening the back of the neck and closing off the front of the throat. And then just do a slow turn to one side, slowly. And next exhale, turn to the other side. So those are the movements. So start with the ball at the top of the spine right at the occiput where the skull meets the spine. So the chin is tipped down and the forehead is high. And just rest there a moment. So Mary, if you're using the 2 tennis balls and a sock, you may or may not be able to do this much because the balls are smaller.
I have them wrapped in my beach towel.
Oh, that's smart. Wrapped in the beach towel, make them a little bigger. Nice. I'm going to drop you some balls off this morning on my way home. I have to go that way anyway. And then slowly, with the chin low, the chin is close to the chest, turn the head to one side and just rest there for a few breaths. You might, depending on what the ball is on, you occasionally have to scoot it, excuse me, underneath you. It will grab the little hairs at the back of the neck sometimes if they're long enough. And then inhale, come back to center. And then turn to the right or the other side. You may have turned to the right first, doesn't matter. And notice as you pause on that side, if this side is different than the other, is one side tighter than the other? Usually I have a little less range of motion on one side compared to the other. And then come to center. And again, turn to your first side. Ooh. And just notice one's tighter. Just breathe there for a moment. Breathe into any tightness. It shouldn't really hurt. You just feel a nice stretch and a release. And then inhale, come back center, and exhale, roll to the second side. And just breathe there. And come back up center. Now move the ball to where it's in the center of the neck. Put that, okay. Center of the neck. So the chin and the forehead are as level as you can figure out that they might be. They're as right at the same level distance from the floor. So you're looking straight up to the ceiling then. And do the same thing. Turn to one side. And just breathe there for a few minutes, noticing what's tight. And breathing into the tightness. And then inhale your way back to center and roll to the second side. And breathe. And then do that one more time on each side. Inhale to center, exhale as you roll to the side. First side. Oh. And to your second side. It's kind of like threading the hairs at the back of my neck, and then pulling them out. And then the last position, you'll roll it down to C7. That's the little part of your vertebrae that pokes out at the top, at the bottom of your neck. So the chin is high and the forehead is down closer to the floor. And you're looking at the ceiling kind of behind you a little bit. So if you're using a roll, you'll kind of adjust it to where you've got a little more arch. But the nice thing about the ball or the roll of the blanket is that supporting the back of the neck, so you can't pinch it. You can't smash the vertebrae, the edges of the vertebrae towards each other, keeping a long arc. And that's essentially what a back bend is. And then slowly turn to one side and notice if anything's different from the other two positions. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And inhale your way back to center. And exhale and slowly stay on one side and breathe there a few times. A few breaths just to let the tightness release. It should feel kind of heavenly, nothing too weird. And back to center. Ah. And back up. And then release the ball and lie flat again and just notice what's happened to also the shoulders. For me, it just feels like a huge release that the head is just down more solidly. The shoulders are resisting. Jerry, did that work for you this time too? He's sleeping. He's not talking. And then all good things come to an end. Roll to your side and come up. And find your blocks, put them out, do a few cat cows here. Cat cow should feel actually quite lovely now that the neck is not. So Jerry, did that help your back the same way? You liked it? Okay. He's just nodding, he's not speaking. And you can bring it forward if you want a nice kind of up dog, baby up dog. And if it feels good to take the hips all the way back, do that. And I think Michelle did not finish breakfast, so she didn't get on. No, I don't see her there. And then make some circles one way and then the other. Make them as big or small as your body needs this morning. And then come on up, wiggle wobble your left foot forward. If you want to put a blanket under your back knee, please do that if you haven't already. And so what about the height of blocks? You want the blocks to be high enough that you're not doing tech head, right? The head's not dropping forward, that you can pull the shoulder blades on the back. And if this is where you need to be and still keep that sense of length. Remember, it was last Sunday we did the poles, right? And so we just had like a broomstick or a pole behind us and keeping the tailbone in the back of the head pressing into the pole, kind of nice. So high or low, whatever you need, and then begin to stretch. Hamstring, pull the baby toe back, flex the front foot, and then bend the front knee and come into, you're getting some oh yes. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Amen to that. Up and open, oh yeah. Find little corners that are still napping, hiding from your wrath. And the next time you come forward into your lunge, if your left foot is forward, the right hand's on the block, the left hand's on the top of the left thigh, and you're just going to open towards the front leg side. And see if you can get a nice big stretch. I find it particularly on the right side of the body when I'm turning towards the left. And inhale, come back and change sides. And begin to, this side's a little tighter. I'm going to pull the blocks up a little higher. Slow back and forth. Just go to the edge where before you feel pain, but you feel sensation, and stretch it back. Super slow dynamic stretching. No bouncing. Remember the years of bouncing? Sarah probably remembers the bouncy stretches. Do you remember that, Patricia? Or were you too young? Yeah, that's too young. And that was kind of the Jane Fonda era. You guys were kids when you were doing that, but it was like, I won't do it, but it was like bounce, bounce, bounce.
How about Jack
and now
LaLanne? Remember Jack LaLanne?
Yes, that's a blast from the past. Yeah, that's dating us quite a bit, Mary. Carrie, being a youngster, doesn't remember any of that. Little jumpsuit, yeah, kind of like a Star Trek jumper, wasn't it? It's kind of like a Star Trek costume, wasn't it? All right, the next time you bend the front, talking about Jack LaLanne's little full jumper bodysuit. All right. The left hand on the block, the right hand on the top of the right thigh. So push in first, pull your belly in, side ribs slide back. As you're dragging the back knee isometrically forward, the front foot is dragging isometrically back, and then add a little twist on that. Keep moving the side ribs back, not pushing the side ribs forward, moving to the back body. Oh, the back body in yoga is, come on out, is our symbolic of our connection to the greater, the bigger energy, as Todd always says, but it's the greater, that which is greater. Pull this up a little bit. All right, come to a doggy, down dog. Spread the hands, come on up, walk out the dog, stretching. Oh yeah, we got some moaning in the in-house today. We love our moaning. All right. Walk your feet about mat width apart, kind of wide, bend your knees as you walk back to a half forward bend. Starting half forward bend, forearms on the thighs, bend the knees, shift the weight back in the heels, lengthen the spine. So imagine you have the broomstick on your back, you're holding it, the tailbone and the top of the head. Push the center back of the head up into the ironing board or the broomstick, whatever image works for you. So the head's not hanging down, but you're not pinching the back of the neck. And play the edge of your hamstring here. Just a little micro bend, little micro straighten. Little micro bend, little micro straighten, just so you feel the hamstrings, not your low back, but the hamstrings. If you want to come into full forward bend, oh, if you're ready for that at this early date, do that. Otherwise, stay in half forward bend. Oh yeah, hands on your hips. Shrug your shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones, press down and rise up. Oh yeah. All right. Step to the top of your mat. Have your blocks there as you need it. Do a couple of sun salutations. Back. All right, ready? Inhale, rise up. Exhale, fell forward. Inhale, halfway up so you can have the fingertips on the blocks. You want to lengthen the spine, no rounding of the back, shoulder blades on the back. Next, exhale, pull the belly up and in. Oh, and bow forward, either half forward bend or full. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bow. Inhale, prepare. Fingertips on either side of the feet and stretch the right leg back, straight leg lunge. Here's where you may want blocks. Scissor the legs. Plant the hands on top of the front thigh. So you're both scissoring the legs, pulling them together and pushing them apart. Can you do both? Keep the back heel up. So the back heel's not turning. The back heel is high and rise up. Oh yeah. Interlace the hands behind the back, steady with the legs and open. Oh yeah, you feel the quadricep? My quadricep, back quadricep is barking. Forward a little bit, pull the belly button up and then tailbone down and open. Crunching the low back. Release, downward facing dog. All right, so the second side was left back, so be reversed for me. And here to open up, to really stretch. And yes, you can do a knee down lunge option and then rise up. So you feel, what you want to do is feel this opening all the way to the front. So back bends are as much about being tight in the front. It's not really about the back as much. Exhale, release. Down dog, or stay in your child's pose and wait for us at home, folks. And stretch out. Shift forward plank pose. and hover here in plank. Soften between the shoulder blades and pull the collarbones through like you're about to do a little cobra back, but pull the belly button up and in, tailbone lengthens, and hover, bend the knees in towards you without touching the floor. And pause here a minute. So bend your knees like you're gonna, more Jerry, more. Lift your hips, bend your knees. There you go, soften the heart. So the hips stay high, it's like you're in table. And then release back to downward facing dog. All right, and walk your hands back. Come into forward bend or half forward bend. And come on up. All right, do a lunge to the wall, or if you've got a door. But here's the thing, is that you want the block to be between your knee and the wall. So the toes have to kind of curl up the wall. So the knee's right over the ankle. Then you can turn and hold on to the wall, face the wall, and push so start with the right, start with the right and push the right knee into the block. Yeah. And curl the toes. Yeah, Pamela, sorry, just curl the, you don't have to curl them way up the wall, but they need to be the little bit curled up the wall. Back leg, spin the heel up and lift the heel high, even if you have to squeeze it, wiggle it back. And Pamela, you can walk your left foot a little over to the left. If you want to pull your mat all the way to the wall, you can do that for stability, but if you feel okay, that's fine. All right, lightly on your fingertips on the wall. So it's exactly what we did in the middle of the air, but you're not having to worry so much about balance. So as much as you push your front knee into the block, draw your outer front hip back. It's as though the outer front hip is trying to pull your knee away from the block and the front knee's pushing it towards it. So balance that action and then walk the fingertips up the wall, reaching, pull the shoulder blades down the back. And once the fingertips, about outer shoulder width, or outer mat width apart even, pull the fingertips down the wall to pull the shoulder blades on the back. Tailbone lengthens, pull the belly button up and in, and you should be feeling this more in the upper back, not the low back. Oh yeah. And then walk your front hand, so in this case, my right hand's more center, the left arm windmills back to reach for the inner left thigh. Oh yeah. And walk your fingertips up higher even without leaning towards the wall. So you're trying to pull away from the wall, even as the hand's going, yeah, that's sweet. Oh, getting all the side muscles and release. Let the block come to the floor and take a half forward bend, otherwise known as wall dog, upside down letter L. And you can bend your knees as much as you need to, keep the softness in their shoulder blades. So walk your feet in, more, in. Want to be an L. Now bend your knees, widen your feet a little bit apart. Bend your knees. But keep the hands up the wall. Don't let them come down. And the head's up. Push the head. Oh, there you go. So you're feeling it here. Yeah. And you can straighten your knees as much as you need to. Nice, Patricia. Jill's a little sway back, lift your side ribs a little bit more. I know it's work. And then come up to side two. So the other leg, in my case, my left leg, but if you switched, it's fine. So what you want is the shin straight up and down, the knee joint right over the ankle joint. Wiggle the back foot back so you're feeling a good stretch across the front of the back thigh. And you extend back from the core of the pelvis all the way through the back, through that back heel. At the same time, you're pulling the energy up from the back heel to the core of the pelvis. And then with the fingertips about a little higher than shoulder height maybe, and out pretty wide, and just fingertips, Spider-Man fingers, ridge tops. Isometrically pull the fingertips down as the shoulder blades slide down the back. And it's like you're doing a little cobra back here. And for me, I feel it a lot across the front quadricep, the back quadricep, and in the front body. Oh. Then walk the fingertips way up, like you're reaching for something high to keep pulling down isometrically through the shoulder blades. Oh. Then walk the front hand, in this case, my left hand, about even right into the center of between my shoulders. And the right arm spins back, windmills back, and tries to grab hold of the inner edge of the back thigh and lifts. Now curl back and twist at the same time. Woo. And release. Half dog, wall dog, upside down letter L. Oh, really, it's about lengthening the spine here. The ears are right between your arms, not below the arms. Nice. Walk your feet forward, Pamela. There you go. There you go. Widen your feet. Widen your feet apart. Widen your feet wider apart. Bend your knees. Widen your knees over your ankles. Widen your knees. Widen. Oh yeah. Feels really ladylike, right? And then pull back. And then release. Come on up. Come on up. Inhale your way up. So this time a wall cobra. And a wall cobra, in fact, before we get to the wall, just make sure we know, you'll stand maybe with the toes about 3-4 inches away from the wall. The hands about, so here are my shoulders, I'm somewhere between not high and a little bit to the out. So if we come in too close, this is what happens. We already do enough of this anyway, so we're trying to combat it. So you here, and then imagine your hands are on a wall and you're pulling them isometrically down the wall and feel the shoulder blades, right? All right, so do that at the wall. Get as close to the wall as is comfortable. Not so your, toes probably don't touch, mine don't. And then strengthen, so pull up from the soles of the feet, inner thighs move back, tailbone lengthens, belly button pulls in, side ribs pull back. So you're really engaging the core. Now push the hands into the wall and isometrically pull them down. Lift the chest up. So this is wall cobra. Do you feel that? It's just the same thing. You're just dealing with gravity differently. So you're curling, trying to put your sternum on the ceiling, trying to curl back. And also imagine you have that ball behind your neck. So the neck is lengthened, long. You're just moving from the upper back. Oh, yeah. And release. All right. You can come away from the wall. And shake it off. I love to shake off. Groove it. It's like in tango, after a dance, you have 3 songs together. That's a dance with a partner. Then they have the cortina. Is that the thing in the middle? Yeah. And they usually play a very different kind of music. So they were playing everything from Bach to Jitterbug to, Duke Ellington. But it's like just a few seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. All right, so you guys can face any way you want to take a wide stance. And you might want your blocks if your hamstrings are challenging you today. Feet parallel, a little turned in. And isometrically, even though the heels are apart, isometrically pull the heels towards each other. You feel all the inner working engagement. Micro bend the knees, push the thigh bones back and fold forward just halfway. Come to the high point of the blocks. And then if you want to come down lower, that's up to you, but the back is long, so the head's not going first. The heart center, the sternum, is going first towards the floor. You can release your head a little bit, Sarah. Just a tiny, yeah, there you go. Release your head a little bit more, Sarah. Oh, you're getting there. Okay. Leave me alone. Right, I know I'm on you today, aren't I? All right, release your head. There you go, a little bit more. Lengthen the back. There you go, lengthen the back of the neck. That's good. All right. And go until you feel a good stretch in your inner thighs. If you want to place the hands on the floor, that works for you. The upper back does round a little bit if you go this high, but because your sacrum, the tailbone is higher than the top of your sacrum, then you can round the upper back. Oh yeah. And then wherever you are, micro bend the knees and push to straighten. Micro bend. Push to straighten. Oh yeah. My inner thigh is so tight. What's that about? All right, walk the hands back out front. Heel toe your feet together. All righty. Okay, so I might recommend a blanket for padding. The blocks. Come into a lunge, step your right leg back, lower the knee down. You can fold the blanket as much as you need to. And come up. So this is kind of like a half camel. You'll come up to where the thigh bone, the back thigh bone is straight up and down. So we're not into a shifted forward lunge. I like to tuck my back toe, tuck them. If you untuck them, you press the top of the foot down a lot to work, but it gives me more stability to tuck them. Now, what will happen as soon as the one leg's forward, the tendency is to hike the front hip. So in this case, the left hip is hiking high. So roll the outer left hip down to get it even, tailbone lengthens. And then pressing, come up to the top of your thigh with your front leg hand. The left hand is on the top of the thigh, stretch back. Sorry, take your block back to the outside of your back foot, stretch up. Now work the legs here. So once the legs are the governor of the back. So if you lose the legs, you're going to feel it in the low back almost immediately. And that's your cue to say, back it up, reset the legs. So the legs are pressing down, scissoring in and pushing out. They're doing everything, reaching up and reach back for the block. Should feel a pretty good stretch across the front quadricep. And if reaching is, and then you're reaching up and then take the left hand up and over. Reach back. Oh, my quadriceps are tight. All right, release, change sides. Slow-mo jump switch. Okay. So the block goes to the outside of the ankle there. And you come up, you're making, like in the negative space, you're making a square. But your feet are still hip width apart. They're not on tightrope, otherwise you won't hold your balance at all. I use my back foot a lot for stability. If you're pressing the top of the foot down, do that. As soon as I use the back foot, I start to even feel the quadricep stretching. So already I know something's going on. The front hip wants to hike, roll it under you, belly button pulls in, tailbone down. Oh, pushing into the right hand onto your leg, big circle arc, come back and see if you can touch the block. You can always stack a block on top of a block if you need more space. Ooh. Now, really strong legs, work your legs like you're almost going to try to stand up from this position. Wouldn't advise it, but in that direction. And then reach up and curl back. So you're keeping some length in the back of the neck. It's not dropping, it's dropping back a little bit, but about like you have the ball underneath it. Oh. Oh. And release. All right. Now I'm going to turn my back to you. So here's where you probably want to pull the blanket up. I'll just unplug this for a minute. Okay. I recommend a blanket under the knees right up against the wall. And you'll want your blocks near you. And here's where you do want to get up as close to the wall as your belly will allow. So if your thighs get all the way to the wall before your belly, you are really working it. Now here's where tucking the toes can be a little intense. So you can certainly untuck them. Take the blocks and you put them on the outside of your feet. Oh, you know where this is going. All right, so you never have to go to the blocks if you don't want to, but here's the thing. If you feel your low back start to ping or hurt, you first lost your legs, so you really have to strengthen your legs. Like hug, you hot there? Do you want me to turn some more fan on you, Patricia? Okay.
So thighs are supposed to be on the wall?
Well, they will start to move towards the wall. I have a couple of fingers between. Yeah, I got my front hits faster, but they're close to, yeah, your bumps. And the girls are leaving the wall, so that's all right. So just standing here for me, pretty good. And plant your hands like you're doing a cobra with the palms wide. Bring the hands down about shoulder height, shoulder height, shoulder height, shoulder down, 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 down. Yeah, about right there.
I am not.
There, that's all right.
My brain's not working today.
And the elbows go back towards the center of the room. And then push into the wall with the hands. And yes, your belly is probably touching the wall. Tailbone lengthens a lot. You can pull the belly away from the wall as you curl back and just push the hands into the wall and pull them down isometrically. You feel that? And try to open the back of the neck so you're not dropping the head back. What? Your quads are screaming. All right, release a little bit. You can even back off and do a child's pose, or you're not moving. Okay. Now you can stay there. That's pretty intense. I find that plenty intense. Or once you get the upper back open, so it's the upper back you want open, no low back hurt. You pull the shoulder blades, pull down, belly button up, and then tailbone lengthens. Then you can reach one hand back for the block and the other hand back for the block. Oh. And some of you might be able to tuck your toes and reach the hand and hold onto the heels. What the wall does is prevent you from shifting your hips too far forward. Now you can move a little bit away from the wall. Does that hurt your knee? Yeah, so just stay, don't go to the deep. Or more padding, fold the blanket over. It's a muscle at the top that's pulling, right? All right, Sarah's already assumed the position. All right, so since you have a wall at your back, we will do legs up the wall at the end, but not, this is not the end.
Really?
Yeah, well, it can be for you. It's always a choice. All right, so back yourself up to the wall and sit up on a blanket. Jerry, I would suggest a bolster if you want. Find your strap. I'm having catch a lot of crap from the in-studio group here, guys. You're giving me some trouble. Oh yeah, do it. You want to do a handstand, Patricia? You feel in handstandy? What? Okay. It's a good thing. Oh, the sloshy. Okay. So get your bum to the wall. You want your bum to the wall and your back waist off the wall, shoulder blades on the wall. So the hips fully on the wall. Oh yeah, you guys, that's right. You don't have to go wide. You don't have to go real wide. But scoot your bum all the way back. There you go. Find your strap. You getting a cramp? Got all kinds of problems in the studio this morning. I'm telling you, the at-home crowd, I think it's because they muted themselves, but they're quiet. They're good.
Oh, we're drinking, margaritas. That's like,
Mary said, "Oh, we've started drinking mimosas already," so it's like, I know. They're out somewhere partying. We just think they're at home. They have one of those green screen backgrounds. That's right. They choose not to. All right. All right. Okay. So you're not as wide as you can go. A little bit less. And now shoulder blades on the back, center back of the head on the wall. Shoulder blades on the wall. Back waist pulls off the wall, but try to push the sits bones back to the wall. That's kind of enough, right? So if I'm pushing the sits bones back waist comes off, shoulder blades on, head on. And so the legs aren't as super wide. They're kind of wide, but not super wide. Exhale and push the legs, the feet into the strap out wide. So you feel the hip flexors grab and then release. Exhale, push out. Inhale, release. Exhale, push out. You don't have to use your hands. You just, if you've got it tight enough here, it's more my feet, right? You can just ratchet up a little bit if you need more resistance. I'm just trying to keep you from working so hard. You're getting me in trouble. All right. Okay. And then release. You may or may not want the strap again. Bring your right foot so it's straight, long against, parallel to the mat. This is a little different than Janu Shirshasana, but it's like tree pose, sitting down. The left foot can be inner thigh. This time it can be inner knee because we're not putting any pressure on it, or it can be down closer to the ankle, wherever it needs to be. Now, wiggle your sacrum. Sacrum and the low back should be, the sacrum and the sits bones are moving towards the wall, back waist off the wall, shoulder blades on the wall. And just pause here. Push the straight leg and the bent leg foot into each other. The heel is down, don't hyperflex. And then just keeping the sacrum, the bottom edge, at least the tailbone, the hip, start to walk forward. And you may want blocks to keep you up. And notice the standing leg. So this is the straight leg is your standing leg. It's not flopping over. It's not on vacation. You reach up. You can even, it's pretty good hamstring pull, but try not to drop the head forward until you go, Jill, you rock it. So the heel's digging into the floor and pulling back, and you're stepping on the gas with the ball of the foot, and you're tilting. Again, it's like an upper back bend that you're moving forward on. So there's multiple places where the hands can go, and you can still get the full joy of this pose. Joy, 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 joy. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. It's singing the child, yeah. It's a kid song too. Yeah. Sarah singing joy, joy down in my heart. Okay. So if bending the right knee here, this tight, is uncomfortable, open it out. But whatever you do, the foot and the leg are pressing into each other, just like we do in tree pose. You're still keeping that hug to the midline. Sits bones, oh, they keep coming away, don't they? And tilt forward. Oh, I don't have to tilt forward much here. So it's more of a lengthening. It's like someone's lifting you from the back ribs, and it's almost like they're reaching, pulling you up like this. You can drop the arms, but it's that same upliftment. Shoulder blades hug on the back. Oh, you can use the strap if you want. You just find whatever works for you on this hamstring stretch, that you're not rounding the upper back. And what's the, I don't know that song, but joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Can't sing it, but there you go. We're thinking of all the songs. Jill thought joy and pain, like sunshine and rain. All right. Sarah, deep in my hamstring. Joy, joy, joy. All right. Come on off. And then snuggle up as long as we're there. Do both of them. If you're feeling it right in behind the knees, you've got to micro bend the knees. So again, you can stretch forward. The hips are, oh, ball run away. It's all right. All creatures seek freedom. All things seek freedom. It's natural. It's our God-given drive, you know, to be free. All right. So here, you're pushing the legs out into the strap or the hands. You can do the hands if you want to. And you're lifting up and out. Pull your belly button up and in. Oh, try to get your future breakfast off your thighs. All right. Now, the joy, legs up the wall if you want it. Now, what I recommend, you may have your favorite way and you can do it. I like to move the blanket about 3 fingers away or 4 fingers away from the wall, because I need a little room to, so you want your bum all the way to the wall. And here's the, it's hard to get into it, but I've found that this is the easiest hard way. So I back up to the side, not anywhere, like to the side of my blanket, right? So way to the side, so that when I sit on it, I'm almost off the blanket, because my tuchus has a fair bit of space there. And then I just wiggle my bum, if it's possible, to touch the wall. Therefore, then the blanket is supporting your back waist, and your bum is just hanging off the edge of the blanket a little bit on the wall side. Oh yeah. And then the arms can be wherever you want them. You can support if you need a little blanket under your head, then do that. Ah, I know. You got the earworm, right? All right. If it's too much stretch on your hamstrings to have the legs fully touching the wall, then move your hips farther away from the wall. That's fine. Just have the blanket more under your back waist than the lower part of your hips. Otherwise, it'll make you round the hips more. So you want to get a little low back curve here and support it with the blanket. So find yourself a comfortable position here. Ah. This is a passive inversion, quite sweet. If at any time you want to bend your knees or do butterfly with the legs or roll out of it, do that. And slowly, if you haven't already, bend your knees and place your feet on the wall. The knees, it's like you're in a child's pose on your back. And butterfly the knees out. And then draw the knees together and roll to one side. And rest there for a few moments. Push yourself up and uncharacteristically finish with a child's pose with the block under your forehead, knees wide, resting the head on the block so the neck can be neutral. And slowly walk your hands back, push yourself up, and then come to seated any way you want. Your palms together in front of your heart. It's so great to have you guys. Thanks for hanging with the tech issues. Namaste.